Welcome to Ina Inspiration channel. I'm here with Kelsang Lhadron.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. I was able to get an interview with you. I know you're traveling for a long time, so I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
We are here at the Kadampa Meditation Center in Florida, and let's ask you some questions.
Okay, sure.
Okay. How does Kadampa Buddhism define the goal of inner peace in the context of a busy modern life?
Okay, so inner peace is an inner experience. So even things can be hectic, busy, and we can still experience inner peace. That's important because, yeah, our lives are busy and noisy, and cities are noisy and busy. So it's not about the external conditions, it's about creating the good internal conditions that we're not disturbed by things going on. So maybe, yeah, we can even be meditating in a park and many things are happening, many sounds, and we can feel peaceful. Or at work, or in the car, anywhere.
Yeah, it's. I think it's great when you're in the waiting room and you just want to be with yourself and not watch TV or be distracted by noise, and you're just content, just being with yourself.
Yeah.
Waiting for a doctor, right?
Yeah.
All right. Can you explain what Lamrim is and why it serves as the foundation for the classes offered here?
Okay, so Lamrim, it's a Tibetan word, and our tradition traces all the way back to Buddha Shakyamuni and came through India and through Tibet. So the founder of Kadampa tradition is a teacher named Atisha, who lived 1,000 years ago, who was an Indian scholar and was very brilliant, and he had at least 12 different spiritual guides. He would master the teachings of each teacher and be sent to another one. And he basically compiled and gathered all of the Buddhist teachings at that time. And he was a very highly respected teacher. He was at at Nalanda University, which was a high scholar. But he was asked to go to Tibet, which he did agree to. And when he got to Tibet, the people said, "We're not scholars. We're just farmers and just regular people, but we want to learn Buddhist teachings and how to integrate them into our life. Can you present Buddhist teachings in a simple way that anybody can practice?" And so that's a teacher, he was so brilliant, and sometimes we meet a teacher that understands their subject matter so well they could present it to a child. So Atisha's presentation was, it's all of Buddhist teachings, which is what the word Kadampa means, somebody who practices all of Buddhist teachings according to the presentation of Atisha. And so his foundational teaching is a presentation of all of Buddhist teachings ordered in a particular way that we call the Lamrim. So it's a particular presentation of Buddhist teachings. Lamrim means stages of the path. So they're ordered in a particular sequence that one understanding kind of naturally flows into another.
Thank you for sharing the story. By the way, what does your name mean?
Lhadron means lamp of nirvana.
Okay. What does it mean to be a Kadampa in a practical sense, and how is that different from other Buddhist traditions? You already answered part of the question.
Yeah, part of it. So each tradition is wonderful, beautiful, precious. Geshe one time said that all the different Buddhist traditions are like rivers that flow from the heart of Buddha Shakyamuni. So the big Buddha behind us, it's the image of the founder of Buddhism in this world. And so all the different lineages can be traced back to Buddha Shakyamuni. So they're all precious in their own way. So of course, the different teachings at that time spread throughout, Asia, which was a huge place, and then at that, until recently, there hasn't been much, communication. So somebody could, if someone was 100 miles away, it evolves in a very different way. So the teachings have different emphasis depending on the karma of the people of that time, the teachers, what they emphasize. So again, Kadampa emphasizes practical teachings that we can integrate into our daily life.
Okay.
And I think probably in some ways all Buddhism try to do that. We also emphasize quite a bit of study, where there's a lot of, like the Lam Rim is, Geshe, our teachers condense it into 21 meditations. So it's not just meditating on the breath or emptiness or any particular object. It's a sequence of meditation, thus going through the stages of the path. And when we finish the 21, we start over. It's like a spiral. And when we come back around, it's new. And we have more information, so it goes deeper. But we emphasize a combination of study, meditation, and chanted prayers as well. So
Great.
A lot of our classes will combine all three of those aspects.
Speaking of classes, how often are the classes offered here?
Well, our classes that are open to the general public, our main one is Sunday morning. It starts at 11.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have an evening class, because people have different schedules
Mm-hmm.
these days. So an evening class on Tuesday evening starts at 7. And then we have some classes in the middle of the day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We have lunchtime, middle of the day classes. And then some of our, if someone comes and they really like the class, they want to go deeper, we have study programs that meet on different evenings that are more committed group that commit to stay together with the whole and study an entire book. So different levels, but our general program classes
Mm-hmm.
open to the public are the Sunday, Tuesday,
And then there's free lunch on Sundays after the
Yeah,
class.
that's
The
right.
lunch is
Yeah,
included.
that's really
it's only on
nice.
Sundays. It's only on Sundays. Right?
only on Sundays. Yeah,
Okay.
there was one of our Sangha members, Jan, recently came to our administrative director and said, what would be great is if we did a free lunch after class on Sunday to build community. And Cindy was like, that's a great idea. Would you like to do it? And Jan was like, oh, I'm not a cook. But she's done very well. She found this a cookbook with simple vegetarian meals.
Yeah.
And she uses that, and she makes really nice, simple meals. And it is great. People are staying more and more, and it does have a nice community vibe. Yeah.
So I met one of the cooks here, and we're gonna do a video and teach you guys. Well, stay tuned. I won't tell you what it is just yet,
Oh, that's
and
a
maybe
great
we'll
idea.
share with some of the members here.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. You place a strong emphasis on the union of wisdom and compassion. How does a practitioner balance those two in their daily interactions?
Yeah, that's really important. So we see those two, wisdom and compassion. The analogy that's often used is like two wings of a bird. And with these two wings of the bird, wisdom and compassion, we can fly to the city of enlightenment, is kind of the analogy. So we need compassion, so we need to be able to look at suffering, not shy away from it, because there's so many benefits actually in compassion. That's the solution. All real solutions are going to rise from compassion, a wish to free others from suffering, reduce the suffering in the world. So that's our motivation. Now, sometimes, without the wisdom, though, our compassion can get overwhelming. Compassion burnout. We need to be able to manage that energy. And the wisdom teachings help us to do that, because at first they seem contradictory, because yes, we really want to help others, but the wisdom teachings are kind of a different aspect of reality, of like the dreamlike nature of reality. And understanding that if we change our mind, we change the world, and that's the real way forward. So there is a real solution, and by purifying our mind, allowing our mind to really feel for others and open ourselves to the suffering of the world, is purifying to our mind. And the wisdom teachings help us to understand that purifying our mind is the solution. Through pure mind, pure world, that's how things will change, because our reality is subjective. So it's balancing those
Mind,
those
body,
two.
spirit.
Yeah, and that it's subjective, that there is no objective world. We all have our karma, and there's some collective karma, but we have our subjective experience of the world. You know, and even in these days, you know, science, you know, without the observer, there is no reality. So this is Buddha's ultimate teaching. It depends on the observer. You know, like I might be looking in this direction, there's a rainbow. You're looking in that, and you're like, no, there's no rainbow.
That's right.
And I'm like, yes, there's a rainbow. You're like, absolutely no, there's no rainbow. So it depends. That's the Buddhist answer to everything. If you ask Buddhist questions, it depends. So how the world appears to us depends on
our perception
and how we're projecting and our karma. So as we purify that, and how do we purify it? Through compassion. So those two actually do work together. They work.
Thank you. How does someone deal with anger or attachment without feeling like they are suppressing their emotions? And how do you apply a few techniques after a stressful day at work or just feeling overwhelmed?
Okay, well, let's take that first part. So, first part was
how does someone deal with anger?
Okay. Okay, without repressing it, right? Was that
without suppressing your emotions.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about anger with that, because that's really important. So in one of Geshe-la's books, that is basically a book on anger, because that is our most destructive and painful emotion. It's kind of and in a way, it's also the easiest one to deal with, because it is so painful. We can really get behind wanting to overcome it. So yeah, it's very important that we don't repress our anger, and there's a big difference between repressing anger and controlling anger. So repressing anger is when we don't express the anger, and we don't admit that we're angry, we may not even admit it to ourselves, and we were able to control the expression. You know, we like grit our teeth. I'm not angry. Clearly you are. Controlling anger is actually getting to the root, facing our emotions honestly, and transforming that energy into something else, into a higher emotion. So we can transform anger into compassion. Sometimes might not, that's a complete opposite. One has a wish to harm, the other has a wish to protect, but it can be done. There's some definite steps, and that's, I think, something too that is like kind of a hallmark of Kadampa Buddhism. Meditations that are steps. Start where we are with anger. Step 1, 2, 3, 4. Follow those steps, and it takes you to a different emotion by reframing, changing the way we're thinking about it, focusing on different aspects of it, or we can transform it into a wish to be free from all dissatisfaction and suffering, which in Buddhism we call renunciation, and wish to go beyond, transcend samsara. That's an important intention to develop. Why would we develop that intention if everything's always great? So the people that harm us is like, oh, this is why I'm leaving. As if like, let's say you're at a job and you just really don't like the job, the boss is this, the work is that, it's like, and you decide you're leaving. You put in your 2 weeks notice. And then when the boss comes by and stacks paperwork and says something cutting, you're like, yep, this is why I'm leaving. And it confirms, it's like, yep. And you don't waste your energy bothering about it, because you're leaving. You're not staying, this is why I'm leaving. And it just feeds into, this is why we're leaving samsara. So there's many ways to transform. I heard this didn't come from Buddhism, but you hear things that make sense sometimes, and it's like someone called emotions, energy and motion.
Right.
So at the root of it, and this is true, it's energy. And energy can be transformed. Now, if we grasp that anger as immutable, and then it is for us. But if we can understand that there's energy there that can be transformed by thinking differently, we'll feel differently. And that's the key, that our feelings depend. Again, it depends. How do you feel? It depends. It depends on what we're thinking, how we're thinking about it. So if we change the way we think, we're going to change how we feel.
Can you share a technique how to transform your energy on the spot? Let's say you meet someone and somebody says something you don't like, but maybe that person has a lot of good qualities.
Yeah, so that's one that's really helpful. Like, and maybe it's somebody you know, or somebody, you know, your family member or friend, that, and they say something or they do something. Try, instead of focusing on what they did wrong, with a critical mind, and that's taking us more deeply into anger, refocus, reshift, and think about their good qualities. Your mind won't want to do it. And a lot of times I give people this advice, and they'll be like, well, they don't have any good qualities. That's how we know we've gone very far down the hole.
On the
and then
spot,
like, come on, something. They're like, well, they are kind to their dog. I'm like, okay, that's a start. Kind to their dog. You get one out. Okay, they're organized, but they're too good. Nope, don't go. But just okay, they're organized. Okay, that's a good quality. And just keep going, keep going.
And maybe if it's hard to do in your mind, when you have these heightened states of emotion, you can get out a piece of paper and write it down.
I do that. I definitely do that all the time. This is one of my go-to practices for sure, and it because it's really powerful. It really has a power of taking the edge off. And if we can get a little bit of clarity, okay, then we can get a little more space. A little space in the mind is what we need.
Okay, so that's a challenge for you guys. Get out a piece of paper when you have a conflict with someone, and just start writing out their qualities. That is if you know someone. If it's a stranger, you may not see them again. Don't spend too much energy. Don't focus too much energy on the situation. Just send them love and move on, right? Okay. Could you briefly explain science and meditation, and maybe share a technique?
Okay, sure.
For someone to looking to clear their mind, and they're new to meditation, they don't know where to start.
Okay. Well, what I would recommend, we have an app. It's a free app, and we have about 15 guided meditations. And that's really helpful. You just press play and you get guided. And that's really, really nice. So I'm glad we have that out. That just came out last summer, so I'm excited about that. Science of meditation. So why does meditation work? So one of the main Buddhist kind of understandings is, well, it's all about looking in the mind, understanding the mind. And so Buddha's premise is that the mind is not the body. So the mind is not the brain. The brain is the physical part. There's definitely a relationship. Definitely, we can go into that. But the mind itself is a non-physical. And one analogy we use it's like water. And if the water's all stirred up, churned up, the ponds, then the water looks brown. Or but is that the real nature of the water brown? No. And all you have to do to know that is stop stirring it up, let it settle, and it naturally, when the water becomes calm and it's not being stirred up, it becomes clear. And the same happens with our mind. If we stop churning it up with our thoughts. So there's two practices that are important, two skills to learn in meditation. One is to stop thinking, stop following our thoughts, being able to let our thoughts go without having to follow them. That gives us some space. And then the second one is thinking differently. But we can investigate the nature of our mind if we can, even just for a few seconds, get our mind to go quiet. It immediately changes the quality of our mind. And naturally a sense of peace arises from where? From within. So it's actually natural to us. And so that's the science of it. It's because at deeper levels of our mind, it's more and more peaceful. So if we can get off the surface level, where we're like conceptual, pop, 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 and let our mind become a little more calm, it's just naturally peaceful. And the further we go with that, the more peaceful it is.
Okay. And how often should someone practice?
That's an important question, because it's the consistency really that gives us the benefits of meditation. So it's better to do 5 minutes every day, 5-10 minutes every day, than just like 20 minutes once a week or something,
right?
Or even an hour, like every once in a while, or do a meditation retreat once or twice a year.
Build it up.
Just that consistent practice is important.
So now in the morning, when someone wakes up, do you recommend doing meditation right away, or
I think it is the best time to do it in the morning when we get up, before we've gotten busy, before we're too distracted, before we look at the news on our cell phone.
Oh yeah.
Because then we're like already off and running. If we could get a little meditation in, that's when we'll have the most success, I think. But then of course it just depends on what your schedule's like. The real question is like, when are you most alert? And for most of us, it's in the morning after we've gotten up. Maybe have your cup of coffee first, that's okay. But if you do it after work, a busy day, your head's full of all kinds of things going on, and you sit down, first time you sat down all day, what's going to happen is you're going to get sleepy. So you're not going to have qualified meditation. It's not going to feel good. You're going to be fighting to stay awake and focus. So the morning is a good time.
Okay. Now, how does someone choose a guide? What are the qualities that a person should look for?
That's a good question, because having a spiritual guide is an important kind of fundamental teaching of Buddhism. But it is very important that we, like I said, are careful in choosing a spiritual guide. So some of the qualities that are needed, the person needs to not be motivated by worldly concerns. Money, fame, reputation, pleasure, praise, these kind of worldly things. The motivation needs to be compassion, a wish to benefit others. And so that's a pure motivation. Now how can you tell? Well, it's actually not that hard to tell. Look at their life. What are they doing with their life? And you'll see for yourself. Like you do need to look into it. Now you can't see every aspect of their life, but you can sometimes see. Another qualification that's important is that the person is, according to Buddhist tradition, this person is following a pure lineage. A lineage is like a highway to enlightenment. So if you're following somebody who's not with a lineage, well, they've made a little trail into the forest. It's hard to follow just one person where one person's walked, but if you follow where thousands of people walk, it's not so hard. So our tradition, our spiritual guide is Geshe Kelsang Gyatso, but the lineage that he's like passing on, and the book he's written 23 books. Almost all of those books are commentaries to previous teachers who's made commentaries to previous teachers. So there's just a strength there and a clarity that comes from millennia of teachers and students following the same path.
Okay, thank you. And I know that some of your teachings relate. Let me rephrase the question. Do any of your teachings relate to law of attraction and manifestation?
Yeah. So the Kadampa, our tradition is we practice the union of sutra and tantra. So the sutra teachings are how to control the mind, overcome delusions such as anger, attachment, ignorance, and they take us to this understanding of reality, of we call emptiness, the ultimate nature of things. How things, I mentioned it before, that reality is not a fixed. It's not fixed. It depends. It depends on the mind's projection of mind, dreamlike. And then the Tantric teachings pick up from there. We also call them the Vajrayana teachings. And in the Vajrayana teachings, we use our our understanding of emptiness. Maybe we don't have a complete realization of it, but we understand the idea of it. And then our imagination. And one of the principal kind of teachings in the Tantric teachings is a technique is bringing the result, the future result, into the path. So into the present moment, in the now, we imagine the future result, and in imagining it, we feel it. We feel that it has been accomplished now. Now, mainly it's not about imagining, oh, I want a car, oh, I got a boyfriend, oh, this, that, things of this, ordinary nature. It's about, this is why we need the sutra teachings, because they elevate our intention beyond this one life, beyond this body, beyond this fixed sense of ourself, and open us up to exploring our Buddha nature, our highest potential. So what we imagine in the Tantric teachings is that we bring that future enlightenment into the path now. We imagine, we also practice, we go through the practice of dying. Death is a very important moment in our life. We need to prepare for it. So in the Tantric practices, like in our daily practice, we imagine that we're dying, and with pure motivation and with faith and blessings and connection with Buddha and our spiritual guide, we imagine this world dissolving like a dream. We imagine that we experience the clear light of death, which is very blissful. Many people have a near-death experience. They have a blissful experience. Well, that's true. That moment, of it's not dying that we need to worry about. Dying is actually a blissful experience once our winds, and energy winds dissolve in, so that we're not feeling pain. But the problem is rebirth, uncontrolled rebirth. So dying, is actually we experience clear light of death, that bright light that people talk about. But we don't stay there forever. We take another rebirth. And if we're just an ordinary being who hasn't really trained our mind, that will be uncontrolled. Anything that we see, any life form we see, we could possibly take that kind of rebirth.
Who chooses the next life?
In Buddhist teachings, Buddha taught we don't choose. That's the nature of uncontrolled rebirth. We don't have control. But with the Tantric teachings, the Vajrayana teachings, we are gaining control by we're creating a path in which our mind will be very familiar and we'll be able to follow through that process. At least that's the intention. So we imagine that we've died, imagine we experience that clear light of death, and we imagine that we realize that's the truth, that's our true nature. Myself as a human being, that was just like a dream, and that's over now. And I realize the truth is, I don't have any fixed characteristics. And if we can realize that, that's our kind of pivot point, that's the place of freedom. We realize our true nature. That is this eternal being
that's right.
Has no fixed characteristics.
Yeah. We are eternal beings.
Yeah. And then we imagine that we, instead of taking an uncontrolled rebirth, that comes from just grasping at existence and whatever appears, we grasp at it. So instead, we control that. We generate compassion, a wish to liberate all living beings, and that's then our point from which the world arises, instead of like a selfish concern or self-obsessed or grasping at existence. Instead, it's compassion. And so then we imagine from there an enlightened world appears, and we appear as an enlightened being. And in that imagining, and that's one reason we have so many Buddhist images, because actually all of these Buddhas have a practice like this, very similar. And we imagine that we arise as maybe Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion, and we take on that aspect, and or Tara, Buddha of enlightened mother aspect, or medicine Buddha, or Buddha Shakyamuni, or Vajrayogini, or whichever deity we're practicing with, because Buddhas, these images have meaning, but their real nature is that their definitive nature is that formless. It's formless. But we imagine that we arise as an enlightened being, and try to feel that that's true. And in doing that, we are creating causes for that future. So we're bringing that future result into the path.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I have one last question. It's about the kids program.
Okay.
I know it's not very active right now, but there's a vision towards it.
Yeah. We had it going for quite a while, and then we lost some of the volunteers that were doing it when we moved away, and someone else got busy with their life. So right now we don't have an active kids program, but when we have people that are willing to kind of pick that up again, the vision for it is that we have the kids class simultaneous with the adult class. So that allows the parents to come in, get a meditation class, learn some practical teachings that can help improve relationships, practice patience, all kinds of very practical things, and learn meditation. Meanwhile, the kids will be in the smaller meditation room, with a teacher who will do a little bit of meditation, but maybe just a couple minutes, just to kind of expose them to meditation. But mainly it would be like things like reading a nice story that has a good moral to it, or focusing on kindness mainly, and helping the kids to understand their emotions a little bit more. What is anger? What does it look like when it arises? What are some things we could do? Maybe even just stop and breathe. Maybe think of the good qualities, or some simple things that they could put into practice, and a bit learn the skills of emotional regulation. How we can.
That's very
same
important.
thing that the adults are learning, but just on a way that talking to the kids directly.
Yeah, it's important.
And they understand, and they have some really good ideas about it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. If you guys want to get involved, please comment below. If you want to volunteer for the kids program, or just be a part of the center, or want to volunteer in the center, or just come check it out. There's a gift shop, very nice gift shop, a cafe here. Please come.
Couple resources that I wanted to let you know about. So the meditation app, it's called Modern Buddhism, just on your iPhone or whatever, Modern Buddhism. And then it also has a bunch of clips, like 20-minute clips of teachings, and also some longer podcasts that are kind of interview style with people about practical things in daily life. And then books. We've got 2 free ebooks that Geshe just wanted to be offered to the world as a gift. So How to Transform Your Life is one, and that gives a nice overview of Buddhist kind of worldview and the basic understandings, but it's also very practical. And then Modern Buddhism, which is the union of Sutra and Tantra. So the first half is Sutra, second half is Tantra. So if you found it interesting, these, some of the things about the Tantra, the Vajrayana, or working with the subtle energy winds and the chakras, it gives those explanations.
Thank you. What about for the kids? Is there an app for the kids?
No, we don't have an app for the kids.
Okay. So
we
the
do have a few books.
Buddhism app is Kadampa?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
We do have a few children's books that Geshe wrote for kids.
Okay.
We have 4 of those here at the bookstore. And you can get any of the books on directly from our publishing company called tarpa.com. It's with a TH, THARPA, tarpa.com.
THARPA.com. Okay.
And thank you so much for
Thank
this opportunity.
you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and comment below.